Amy going to be here or not? Or there?
She's doing Zoom.
Okay. F5 should start. Okay. She can sign on. Okay, please rise for the pledge. Okay, good evening. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our April 12th meeting. Do I have any additions or corrections? Have a motion to approve?
Madam President, motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 12th, 2021.
Second.
Happily moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those same sign. They are approved. Lobby visitation. See anyone here? So, Brian.
Okay, thank you. And Michelle, I see Amy did join the meeting here. So the first item, well, the only item on our agenda, I guess, is to talk about the Woodbridge Business Park expansion. And I think you all know where Woodbridge Business Park is located and, some of the businesses that are out there, but, you may not always know what they are relevance to our utility sales or our utility side of the work. So we have several top electric users out there. Two of the electric users are in the top 10. A third one is in the top 15, and another employer just started up. Another business just started up this year. They went into the one of the new warehouse buildings. Actually, it's not going to be used for warehousing, but it's going to be used for manufacturing. If they meet their projections when they talk about coming to Bowling Green, they should be in the top 5 electric users. So it does have a lot of large electric users and a lot of large employers out there, and has been a pretty good success story for the city. And as you know, we bought some property in the neighboring area. The 40 acres to the east of the warehouses was purchased by the city back in, I think, 2018, roughly. And we continue to market that property for some kind of development if it would come up in the future. But last year we did apply for an EDA grant. This was Economic Development Administration grant. We thought we had pretty good project with Woodbridge with some of the job creation numbers that we're presenting to them. It involved us, several aspects of expanding the utilities and road infrastructure at the park. We were not successful in getting the EDA grant, mainly because they had a larger number of requests than they had money available for, and they tried to target the money towards COVID type projects or COVID related projects that were going to help with things like PPE or manufacturing masks or things for hospitals and medical facilities, those types of things. So we were not successful with that. So we got together as a group with Katie and Mayor and Lori, myself and others, and we tried to look at all the projects we put into the picture for the EDA grant, and then identify, what is the top priority if we're going to try to continue this process to not lose any momentum in the expansion or development of the park. What would be the best project to go for? And so we came up with the Rankin Drive extension. Quickly became the highest priority in our eyes, mainly because it has an immediate return, if you want to say that, on employment and utility sales. But also other priorities that we identified were additional water mains to get into the park and another road access into and out of the park. So one of the problems we have, and we'll talk more detail, but there's only one water main that goes up Dunbridge Road that serves the business park. And if that line would ever break north of Wooster Street, we would pretty much lose all water service to customers north of Wooster Street or wherever the break was, wherever that last valve is that we can turn. But everybody north of that point would be out of service until the main was repaired. So the Rankin Drive project, again, quickly rose to the top that was going to sort of check a lot of boxes for us and give us the best benefit. Another benefit was that a developer, industrial developer in town, has been looking to put up a spec building, and he has talked about using one of the parcels along Rankin Drive to put up a spec building. And what we found is that the speed of which businesses want to get into a property quickly needs a fairly quick turnaround. And we have looked at spec buildings ourselves and how the city could cooperate or collaborate with spec building developers. And it always involved us, contributing some kind of a financial commitment to the project. And that's always well, what if the project doesn't go forward and doesn't happen? In this situation, the developer would put up the building, and basically we would do our typical routine of doing roads and water mains and sewers and that kind of stuff, and leave the building and that side of the business to them to work out. So there will be two potential construction projects that would occur on the Rankin Drive proximity property. Again, one would be the current company in Woodbridge is Dowa THT. Well, we call them Dowa just for short, but they're an auto parts manufacturer. They heat treat parts and then ship those parts back to the supplier. So they're looking to expand. They would build on part of this expansion or this frontage on Rankin Drive. Dowa would also donate or provide the land or the right of way that would go up to the south drive there in Woodbridge. I forgot the name of it. I apologize. It's a South Woodland Drive, I think, or Woodland Circle.
Woodland Circle.
But that's so the property that Dowa now has. They would donate that right of way to the city that would allow the construction of the water main and the road to link up to Wooster Street. So Katie Thompson, she's here tonight. She did go out and try to find other funding sources for us, as Sue Clark used to do in the past. Obviously, Katie's taking that role on now. And the easiest and the most likely source of funding is from the state of Ohio. And in the past, we've partnered with them for up to 75% of a reimbursement grant for roadway and storm sewer improvement work. When we did the Woodstream Drive expansion by the warehouses, that project was funded by utility money. And then also we got 75% matching grant from the state for the road and the storm sewer work. So again, similar money to what we've seen before. So Katie went out to talk to the state. They did commit, or have at least expressed the interest of committing set up to 75% of the money for the road and the storm sewer work associated with this project. I also gave you in the packet, I gave you a detailed cost estimate, as detailed as what we know for now. There's about three pages there, and there's a couple of different components to the project. And so one of those is some improvements to the intersection out at Wooster Street, where Rankin Drive would be started. There's the Rankin Drive itself that would go north of Wooster Street and then link up to Woodland Circle. There's some water main construction work that would get built up Rankin Drive and connect to the water main at Woodland Circle. That would give us the looped water service we're looking to achieve. And the third one would be the construction of the sanitary sewer. We need to extend that down Wooster Street to the east. It's near the Holiday Inn property roughly. So that needs to be extended to the east and then to the north up into Rankin Drive to serve those potential businesses in the future. So that total cost is about $2.4 million. And the state had indicated to Katie that as they reviewed the cost estimate, about $1.4 million would be eligible for state money. So that leaves $1 million roughly for the city or local funds, or for us to go out and try to find other funding mechanisms. But we're looking at about $1 million would be the city's share for the project. Traditionally, the 1010 fund or some other paving capital fund has covered the cost of the roadway infrastructure. But in this case, I'm asking for a change in that that typical process we've used in the past. And the change is that we would utilize the 4017 fund or the Water and Sewer Capital Improvement Fund to fund all of the project. We have money in the current budget. And the main reason for asking for the request is that if you look at economic development and we're trying to generate utility sales, if I don't have a road, I can't maintain the water and the sewer system or the electric system. So there is some logic to say that, well, if you don't build the road, if you don't build the water and the sewer lines, don't do anything for you. So if we're trying to stir economic development, have job creation, and have some kind of utility sales to go with the project, then the 4017 fund seems like a viable option to use for the project. So that is a change that we have had from the past. But I did look at the 4017 budget, and I think I've tried to identify where this $1 million would come from. And we did have about $1.3 million on the revenue side of the budget from the EDA grant that we did not receive. The state would kick in, $1.4 million, which is pretty close. Our EDA budget was a little bit short of that, but that would leave some the $1 million to cover by addressing if we don't do projects, or if we can divert money from certain projects to this project. So I outlined what those would be. Local funds out of the 4017 account, we had $377,000 that we already budgeted for this project with the EDA grant, because we had to have some of our own local money as part of that project. We also had $500,000 identified for a raw water storage improvements project. We haven't identified what that would be just yet. And if you recall, we had that in last year's budget, but we didn't end up spending those dollars. We've kind of put this as a placeholder in the budget, because we know if we have to start making progress towards that, if the EPA comes down and says we need to do something, or if a piece of property becomes available, this money could go towards a property acquisition for a large reservoir, something along those lines. So it's kind of been a placeholder for us over the past couple of years. There is an elevator project in the budget. We did bid that out. It's under construction right now. The bids came in $85,000 less than what we had in the budget. And then that leaves about $38,000 to make up the $1 million. And I think we had $500,000 in the water pollution control facility, the odor control project, that we haven't started work on just yet. And I don't anticipate that we would spend the full, $500,000 this year. We have some engineering work we have to do yet if we ever get that project going. And staff's time has really been taken up heavily by the current blower and aeration project, which is under construction right now. So that there is available funds, I think, to cover the $1 million out of the 4017 account. Because we're talking about benefits to utility sales and adding employment here. We didn't really talk much about the 5112 Electric Capital Reserve Fund, and that maybe that could be used to help pay for some of the roadway improvements. But I gave you an example, just a very simple math breakdown of if it was $1 million for the road work and 75% was covered by the state, that would leave $250,000 for the local funds to make up. So it may be possible we could split that 50-50 between the Water and Sewer Capital Improvement Fund and the Electric Capital Reserve Fund, because again, the electric utility we're going to install power lines through there. We'll have transformers that will install, switches. And so we need access to those utilities, just like the water and the sewer utility would need. And so there could be justification for looking at electric capital reserve funds to help pay for the road construction as well. I didn't put that as part of the resolution that I prepared for you, only because it would require a supplemental appropriation. And we have money in the budget right now to cover the project out of the water and sewer capital improvement fund. I don't have to have the electric funds to do the project. But again, as I mentioned in the write-up, if that was something that the board was interested in, to try to spread the cost out across a couple of different funds, the supplemental appropriation can be done at a later date. Once we start getting some expenses for the project, or before that, and we can prepare that for the board and have a resolution ready for you at a future meeting. So obviously, as we do construction projects, the process typically is we would request to advertise for qualifications for engineering services, and then go out for construction bids and sign those contracts to get it constructed. I think we're looking at, if it is approved by the board and through city council, that we'd be looking at engineering plans during the remainder of 21, and then probably late 21 into 22, we'll be doing underground work, which can occur in the wintertime. That's not the worst time of the world to be doing water and sewer installations. And then in the spring of 22, hopefully going out with the road construction and getting the road built. Those times may change. That's just in my mind what I would see happening, and about how much time we would need to develop the project. Last item I had in the write-up was to talk about this a construction agency agreement with the Wood County Port Authority. And in 2018, we did the Woodstream Drive project, and we had an agreement with the Wood County Port Authority where they helped us administer the state grant funds. Essentially, they helped us with RFQs for the engineering services as well, and they were kind of our conduit. We used Rex Huffman, obviously he's with the Port Authority, but he helped us with seeking reimbursement from the state. So we don't have those. I don't have that document with me today. We haven't talked with them at all about that possibility. I don't know that we would need it. When we did the last project, most of that was handled by Jason Sisko, which was the city engineer at the time. And so I don't know if that's going to be a requirement for us or not, or if we're interested in doing that or not. But I need to spend some time to talk with Katie and with Rex. So I did put that in that authorization in the resolution for you tonight. However, if we decided that needs to be completed before I would sign any kind of an agreement with the Wood County Port Authority, I would bring it to the board and show you what that draft agreement looks like and explain to you what the process is, or why it would benefit us to enter into that agreement. I don't think there was any cost for us to do that last time. It basically helped us out at the end of the day. So I don't have anything for you to look at on that one, but if we do, I would again bring it back and present it to you before we signed anything. The aerial maps or attachments that I prepared for you with the packet. The first one just shows just some general. It's the, if you look at the packets, the first map, it's the red lined oval on Worcester Street. It would have some intersection improvements on Worcester Street, and then construction of Rankin Drive from Worcester Street up to Woodland Circle. The second aerial map shows some roughly where the water line would go, and the sanitary sewer would be installed. We don't need to take the sanitary sewer all the way up into Woodland Circle because those businesses already have access to the sanitary service there, but obviously we do want to loop the water main. So that's why we have to connect that all the way up to Woodland Circle. You notice there is a street called Ross Road. That's just the name of here on the map. It goes to the east off of Rankin Drive. We wouldn't propose to do any improvements there at this time because the city does not own that property to the east of this this lot 13, and there would be no customers there to need that service or to install too. So you could potentially put in a lot of money for infrastructure, put a roadway in, and then not have any benefit for that investment. The third map is not an aerial map, but this is not a picture, but it just shows you the water main network that we have now, and that's the blue lines, the dark blue lines, the pink or the magenta lines. Those are private water mains that the different customers have on their properties. But you can see that going north of Wooster Street, again, if any part of that line on Dunbridge Road would break, we would lose water service to all of Woodbridge Park. We also would lose service to the wastewater plant, which is just south of Poe Road. So this dashed line represents about where we would install the water main to connect Wooster Street to Woodland Circle. And so if we ever had a break on Dunbridge, it'd just be a matter of closing the valves that were opposite or around the break, and we could still, backflow or maintain water service to every customer out there, except for the ones that were impacted, between the valve closures. Mm-hmm. So it would improve water service reliability for our customers. And I think a couple of them have talked to Katie about that problem, because they're obviously aware that there isn't a looped system for them out there. So it may help them in that regard. And the last aerial map that I have is just more information about the sanitary sewer line. That shows the dashed line would be the area where we'd have to install a sanitary sewer. The solid red line identifies the sanitary sewer that's already been installed as of today, which again is near the Holiday Inn property line. So we have to go to the east and then build to the north into the Rankin Drive property. And then I also included again the 3 pages of a cost estimate for the work on that project. And I think that covers most of what I wanted to talk about, unless you have questions for me.
Hey, Brian.
Yes, sir.
I realize there are quite a few variables and some intangibles here, but do you have any feel for what the return on investment would be for the city on this project?
I don't have that at this time. I know Dowa is a large electric user. They do heat treatment there, though I think their ovens are gas. They're not electric ovens. I think Dowa is one of the ones I listed. It was in the top 10 electric users. The other one is VTech, and the third one is GKN up the north. I don't have employment numbers for what they would bring into the city. I know they're looking at doing a building expansion, adding ovens. That typically comes with some kind of employment. Maybe, I don't know if Katie has employment numbers or projections from Dowa for that. As far as the spec building goes, we've tried to make sure that the developer knows that we're obviously interested in manufacturing. We're interested in utility sales and employment, but we can't always dictate what kind of business is going to be able to move into that facility. So, with any economic development that we do, we never know for sure what type of a project or what type of business is going to be coming to town. But all I can point to is the past history we have with development, and say that's what we're trying to accomplish or achieve. So unfortunately, I can't give you that number. I can try to work one up for you, but it would be a guess.
No, I think, again, it's a lot, you're speculating here, and I realize it'd be absolutely tough chore to come up with a return on investment, but I didn't know if you had a history or some kind of feel from past projects that you might be able to say, 10 years from now, we should recoup most of these through taxes and and such, and electric sales and utility sales. Okay.
Yeah,
No, I'm good.
The income tax portion of it, obviously the water sewer capital improvement fund does get a good portion of the income tax. I think it's 25% roughly. Is that number right? That of income tax that goes to the water and sewer capital improvement fund. And but that income tax obviously also goes to many other funds. It goes to police and fire and parks and rec, and a lot of other departments benefit from those job creations. The other thing I would say too is it just in the past several years, a lot of the interest we've had from the state, or if we get leads from people that we try to respond to, their first question is, well, is there a road and is there utilities available that I can just move into and start work, within the next 6 months? And our philosophy in the past has typically been, well, we'll buy some property, we'll try to market it for what we can, and we'll hope that somebody eventually wants to move in and can wait the year and a half or so, but it's going to take us to build the road, to build the utilities, get the money in our budget. And it seems like in the past, I don't know, several years, that the trend has been that they don't want to wait that long, and to try to attract customers to come to town, or employers to come to town and increase sales and increase jobs. There's a lot of available properties out there from other communities that have all those amenities already available and are ready to go today. And we don't have those at our fingertips, right now. This project, it seemed like we have a known development from Dowa that's going to happen. They've already told us they've bought the equipment to go in the new building. I believe if this project doesn't go forward, they're still probably going to do some type of expansion at their current facility. But what's going to happen is they're going to take up all of the property that was going to be donated as right of way, and they'll put their building or their parking or some kind of a storm drainage in that area. And there won't be an opportunity to get another water main to connect into Woodland Circle. There won't be another opportunity to do a road project to link up another vehicular access point into the park. And the only other option we have is if we build from Woodstream Drive to the east out to Carter Road. The problem is we don't have there is no water and there is no sanitary sewer on Carter Road. And we would have to build a water main down Wooster Street to Carter Road, build it north on Carter Road, and then come back into that property to link up to Woodstream Drive. And that's obviously a lot more pipe, a lot more feet, miles, whatever you want to say. Also, same thing for the sanitary sewer. We'd have to have a larger sanitary sewer project. And we probably would not be able to do anything or get any money from the state or that property until there's some kind of a job creation component that would go with that. And typically for that property that we own to the east of Woodstream, we would need a business to say, I'm looking to come to town. I'm looking to build on that property or somewhere in the area, and this project would benefit me in some way, shape, or form. And then we could get some money from the state. And that's the other problem with the state money is you typically have to show some economic development or employment or some benefit that they will start to be willing to contribute those funds. And this meets all that criteria. The EDA grant we had before that we thought we were going to have pretty good success was going to include this work on Rankin Drive. It was going to include, the work to the east of Woodstream to provide our property with a road access and some utility infrastructure. It was going to do some improvements at the intersections of Wooster and Dunbridge, and also some improvements at the entrance to Woodbridge Park itself to help with traffic control. Because when those large employers let out, obviously that's a large amount of traffic that goes that direction, and they want to go typically south on Dunbridge Road, and that causes a lot of backups and traffic congestion. So our EDA grant really would have kind of been the grand slam to knock a lot of this out and do it all in one swoop. But again, we weren't very successful. There was talk about trying to resubmit for the EDA grant as part of this project. But the problem we saw with that was that we were talked about. The office, EDA office, told us, yeah, it looks pretty good. The application looks really nice. We're pretty sure you're going to get funded, and then we didn't get funded. And so, like, well, do we trust them again, or do we try to find our own way and do something different that we know has worked in the past? And so we decided to go a different way and do what we've known to be a success in the past. I'm not saying that the EDA grant option wouldn't be looked at, in the future, but to get this part of it moving and to have some assurity that we can build this part of the project, at least, this seemed like the most viable option.
Thank you.
Sure.
Brian, I have a question for you.
Yes.
The new business that's coming into the park there, do you know what lot that's going to be sitting on the map you have here?
Yeah, let me go there. So I'm looking at the map that has the blue and the red lines on it with lot numbers located. If you look at lot 12, it's just to the right of the Meyer store.
Okay.
It says future Dawa expansion. That's 6 acres. And so Dawa would construct their new building to the south to be part of lot 12. I believe the spec building that they're talking about is on lot 13. That's the 12.2 acres. And that would be, from what Katie has told me, that would be their initial start, but they're looking to start marketing that as soon as possible. And, if they can go to a 100,000 square foot building or something larger, if they can get the right type of manufacturer to go on that property, obviously they would try to get the largest building possible that the user would need. And so that would mean that lots 11, 10, and 14 would be available to develop, would have full utilities and full access. 10 and 14, while they do have frontage on Wooster Street, as part of our access management requirements, we likely would say there's no drive off of Wooster Street. You'd have to get a drive off of Rankin Drive as the secondary access point. It does say on there also zoned commercial, so maybe those are more commercial type of developments, just because of their frontage on Wooster Street. But again, I can't. I'm not the zoning guy, so I can't say for sure what those would be. But
And then any reason why they propose sanitary sewers continuing east on Wooster? Is that for future expansion?
yeah, so the policy is that whenever development goes in, you build your sanitary sewer to the farthest extent possible of the property. And so that red line goes to the east to the property that would be being developed potentially. It doesn't mean that, to try to cut costs, we could say we're going to stop it at Rankin Drive with the knowing that in the future, at some point, if somebody needs that access to that sewer or wants that sewer, that we would have to come back later and build that. So you're probably better off to build it now to meet our policy requirements. And then two, that way, if the I think there's a church to the east, if they wanted access to the sewer, they would have it at their property line. They could then extend it to the east, and that's what the board policy says, is basically that we build the sewer to the furthest property line available. So it's a policy that doesn't leave somebody hanging, theoretically down the road if they needed a sanitary sewer, wanted to build it
down the road.
yeah, they've got access to it then at that point. So.
And if we were to reapply for the EDA grant, how long would that take to potentially get a response before we would know where that's going?
I don't know. Do you know that number? Katie just said that the applications are due in September, and then notification on that is at the end of the year.
So that would delay us farther, much farther back into later in 2022, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Other questions? I mean, I think it's definitely appealing that we can potentially get state money for over half of this project. I mean, I think leveraging that is huge, and I think, you know, from a utilities point of view, you've got the advantage of the hopefully, you know, increased employment and increased income tax, as well as utility customers. So, I mean, I get the advantages of this, and sounds like from what Katie's hearing, I mean, I assume that's going to make it easier for you to get people in here.
Anything about that? Or?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. You don't mind?
Yeah, just a quick note about that. We receive multiple requests every week for projects looking for sites. And those people want to be able to, like Brian said, start manufacturing literally within 6 months. And so we're automatically out of the running for a lot of project leads that are coming through. And right now we're being told by the state there's about a 24-month to 36-month window of a heavy investment from the electric car industry that is looking to manufacture in Ohio. So they've basically told all of the local economic development offices, as quickly as you can get sites shovel ready, you know, we want to be sending you these leads. We want to bring that investment here to Ohio. And so we're just trying to position ourselves to be able to take advantage of that window of investment. And we get requests all the time for spec buildings as well. So the fact that we're going to get a spec building along with this from a developer who knows economic development and has a lot of connections and will also work on those attraction efforts, I feel like is a really strong point of this project. So.
Thank you.
Katie.
Yeah.
One last question. Would Rankin Road end at Ross Road, or would that go through to Woodland Circle?
Let me go back to my map. Sorry. Okay, so Rankin Drive, Rankin Road,
Yep.
it
Rankin
would
Drive.
go all the way up to Woodland Circle, and it would connect to, again, allow that second access point into the park. Sorry, you can't hear me, I apologize. Yeah, it would connect into Woodland Circle and provide that secondary access point. You know, again, the other option we have is looking at your map. If Woodstream Drive is extended to the east over to Carter Road, that's your other option for getting another vehicular access point into the property or into the park. So lot on your map, lot number 15 in that upper right corner. That's the property. That 40 acres is the property that the city purchased a couple of years ago. But again, there is no water or sanitary sewer service on Carter Road. And if you look at the water distribution map, you can kind of see where on the right side of the page where the line that goes down Woodstream Drive ends. But also if you go to the south on look at East Wooster Street, you can see it. That line also ends at about the same point. So you'd have to build to the east on, get over to Carter Road, then go north on Carter, and then west on Woodstream Drive to loop that line back in again.
Okay.
To provide a back feed.
Thank you. Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 5/2021-01, authorizing the Utilities Director to execute a construction agency agreement with the Wood County Port Authority, accept grant funding from the state of Ohio, request qualifications and enter into contracts for engineering services and advertise for construction bids, and enter into contracts for utility and right-of-way improvements for the expansion of the Woodbridge Business Park.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Resolution is approved.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Questions for Brian?
Nope.
Thank you,
Okay,
Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Official reports, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did just want to take a couple of minutes. As you were all well aware, the city has a rather large number of boards and commissions, and we rely on citizens such as yourself to serve on these boards and commissions. Of course, we're very grateful for all of you that do agree to give us your time to serve in this important way. One of your members is nearing the end of her service, and so I wanted to take a couple of minutes and recognize Amy Kraft-Ahrens for her service on the BPU. I'd like to take just a couple of minutes and read the certificate of appreciation, if you don't mind. Whereas Miss Amy Kraft-Ahrens honorably and faithfully served the citizens of the city of Bowling Green as a member of the Board of Public Utilities from January 19th, 2016 until May 31st, 2021. During that time, Ms. Kraft-Ahrens distinguished herself by consistently demonstrating sound judgment, thoughtful deliberation, thorough preparation, and unselfish devotion to the public interest. She worked diligently to improve and enhance the Bowling Green community, thereby earning the appreciation of city officials and the public at large. Now, therefore, I, Mike Osbacher, Mayor of the City of Bowling Green, in recognition and acknowledgement of Ms. Kraft-Ahrens' impressive civic record, do hereby thank and commend her for her loyal, willing, and dedicated service to this municipality and award her with gratitude the certificate of appreciation on behalf of the citizens of Bowling Green. Amy, thank you very much. We do appreciate your service. If you were here, I'd give you a big fist bump, but we will get this certificate in the mail and hope that you'll hang it on your wall somewhere with pride. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to serve. I've learned so much over the last 5 years, and I definitely appreciate how hard everyone in the city in general, but definitely Brian O'Connell and everyone in the utilities department, that they work so hard to keep us moving forward. And I just appreciate everyone's hard work. And I'm glad I got a chance to do this. It's not something that I would have normally expected to be a part of. So when I was first asked, I thought it was a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I learned a lot and I really enjoyed it.
Well, you've done great work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, remember, you might still have one more meeting in the end of this month. We don't know that for sure. So I wanted to take advantage of you being here today, but we will expect you to be here if there is one.
I can handle that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay, Lori. Council member report?
Thank you. Just three very short things. One, Amy, thank you. And, we've got a lot of other boards and commissions, so maybe take a couple weeks off and then pester the mayor about getting on something else.
I'd be happy to.
Excellent. Thank you. Second, in terms of thanks, last month or two, or maybe a little bit more, every once in a while, there's a comment made about the Board of Public Utilities, and I want you to know that I greatly appreciate the work that you do. And from my vantage point, and I think Megan could second this, that when you've got council, we rely, as the mayor mentioned, so much on the various boards and commissions, and the Board of Public Utilities we lean on you guys a lot, and we really appreciate the work that you do. And a great example to segue into the third item of three is what we had you had an extensive discussion about tonight, is an excellent example of how this city moves forward and how everyone works together. We've got economic development, we've got the utilities director, we have the Board of Public Utilities. Eventually, after you do all the hard work, it'll come to council. And so this is really something to be excited about. And I can tell you that this is exactly what we need for economic development. So I want to thank you for your role that you've played in that.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks. Board member reports,
Nothing for me.
business, unfinished business. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved,
So
Madam Chair.
moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Bye.